Hello, I'm Carmen Escobosa. Welcome to Cross-borderX. For almost 2 decades now, gay, lesbian, transgender citizens fleeing persecution from Mexico mainly have sought political asylum in the U.S. San Diego immigration courts have received a good share of these petitions from LGBT members south of the border. Now, have these petitions been successful? Is there really persecution in Baja? We will discuss these issues and also what impact, if any, will a new law just approved in Mexico City legalizing gay marriage and adoptions to gay couples have on decisions coming from U.S. immigration courts. We now begin. The Viveros crossed the border years ago seeking political asylum.
When a police officer or somebody working in the government is doing the abuse, where I can go for help.
Due to his sexual orientation, Tito was abused and rejected not only by the machista culture and law enforcement agencies in Mexico, but also by the members of his own family who are deeply Catholic.
This is a sin. This is against nature. I was thinking in killing myself when I was a kid because even me, I feel guilty.
He is now Tita and living the life he always dreamed of, but only after undergoing what he calls a painful political asylum process, which took about a year to be granted.
It's a very traumatic experience because you have to open your life. You have to lie about all those difficult situations and show them to somebody that you don't know, like immigration officer.
Tita devotes her life now to helping HIV/AIDS patients in San Diego and LGBT members who are undergoing a transition.
Legal advice and referrals to professionals, to doctors.
Furthermore, Tita is about to accomplish one more dream.
I am in the end of my transition, and I am in my final steps to get my name and gender change officially. And after that, I would like to raise a family, maybe to adopt a child, because I love kids.
Many more LGBT citizens south of the border have applied for political asylum in the U.S. Victor Clark, anthropologist, professor at San Diego State University, and director of the Binational Human Rights Center in Tijuana, has been a witness and advisor to numerous petitions for political asylum in U.S. immigration courts.
De los 20 casos, he testificado de miembros de la comunidad gay, lésbico, bisexual, transexual en Los Ángeles, en Portland, Oregon, San Diego, en San Francisco.
His strive for LGBT rights became stronger about 7 years ago when the LGBT community in Tijuana, headed by Lucero, who was born Javier Martinez, knocked on his door seeking protection and advice.
Alrededor de 100, en varios grupos. Se llegaron diciendo, ya estamos hartas de todo lo que nos hacen, de todos los abusos, del dinero que le tenemos que estar dando diariamente a la policía. Entonces ya vinieron en esas condiciones. Tuvieron que pasar muchos años para que dieran ese paso. Me refiero para que lo dieran en grupo. Documentamos 48 casos de abusos, una conferencia de prensa, reuniones con las autoridades. Comenzaron a organizarse en un grupo que ellas mismas eligieron el nombre que se llama Transgéneros Unidas por los Derechos Humanos.
This turned out to be a huge accomplishment for the local LGBT community, since there was no other group like theirs along the border with the U.S. The Latino LGBT community in San Diego offered them support and advice also.
Nosotros cada año participamos en la marcha que tienen de orgullo. Cualquier cosa, a veces me invitan diferentes grupos a dar pláticas.
But the LGBT struggle in Baja seems to be far from over. Even though Baja residents are considered some of the most liberal and tolerant in Mexico, if not the most, they still have a long way to go. Gays are not welcomed in church, let alone transgenders.
El ejercicio de la homosexualidad es un desorden.
Their job opportunities are limited.
Siempre que he trabajado en diferentes infinidad de cosas, la aceptación es lo más difícil para mí. La aceptación de mis compañeros y de mi jefe.
Most people treat them like second-class citizens and want them out of their sight.
Yo creo que se ve muy mal, de todos modos.
And you don't have to dig that deep to find disturbing evidence of police brutality, extortion, and other abuses against LGBT residents. After years of hard work, Lucero, head of the LGBT movement, became very frustrated with the little progress they made. She, along with 30 other transgenders, fled to the U.S. and are now hoping for political asylum. The police department in Tijuana denies any wrongdoing and states it is committed to protecting every local and foreign citizen, regardless of their race, gender, religion, or political and social background. Yet, Victor Clark's office documents at least one new case of serious abuse and extortion every month. As we mentioned at the beginning of our program, Mexico City's Congress has just approved a new law legalizing same-sex marriage and adoptions to gay couples. Will this have an impact on decisions coming from U.S. immigration courts on current or future political asylum petitions? Let's hear from immigration attorney Lilia Velázquez.
There's no question that the new law in Mexico City is going to change the situation here in the United States for people who are claiming political asylum from Mexico. Already, the government, in most cases, they argue that the attitude in Mexico has changed. The society has become more tolerant and more accepting of gay people. And therefore, it's not like in the old days. There's no question that the government lawyers will say, well, sir, you said that you were from this particular state, but did it occur to you to go to Distrito Federal, to go to the capital? Do you know that it's now legal for people in Distrito Federal to get married if they happen to be gay? Do you know that? Those arguments have already been made even before gay unions were legalized in Mexico City. So not to mention now, after they, the government has said they have the same rights, they can get married. This is going to be a it's going to make a huge impact in the way that the courts decide those asylum cases.
Tita Riveros, who was granted political asylum several years ago now, alerts, beware.
Doesn't mean that you are protected by the abuse of the society in general, but mainly for the government. So getting a right is one thing, and getting protection, it is another one. And both things may look similar, but they are pretty different.
Victor Clark, director of the Binational Human Rights Center in Tijuana, goes even further.
Y eso ha provocado una ola de intolerancia y homofobia por parte de instituciones claramente identificadas, el Partido de Acción Nacional y la Iglesia Católica, y ha ahondado las condiciones de homofobia en contra de esta comunidad, porque ha provocado un debate y ha ahondado esas actitudes que muchos mexicanos, tienen en contra de esta comunidad. Esto no cambia mucho la situación y no significa que vayan a mejorar las condiciones de gays y transexuales en el resto del país, porque es solo y exclusivamente en la Ciudad de México donde siguen presentándose y documentándose numerosas violaciones en contra de esta comunidad. Eso no cambia mucho su condición en otros ámbitos de sus derechos.
Attorney Lilia Velázquez provided us also with some interesting statistics.
I think that the public has a perception that if you are gay, that automatically you're going to be granted political asylum. That is not the case. In fact, it is very difficult to win a political asylum case. You need to demonstrate the persecution. I was reading the statistics by an attorney that specializes in gay asylum cases, and I was really stunned to see that in 17 years, out of 249 cases from Mexico, there were gay asylum cases, only 36 were approved. That means only 15%. 15% is very small of a percentage.
In a new development, federal prosecutors have announced they will try to overturn the new law in Mexico City.